Okay, so after all those nitty-gritty details, understanding all about the high impact appointment setting framework, now we are jumping into the first phase of that framework, and that is building the relationship into the DMs, into the messenger. Okay, so to start with, as of now, all of you, by connecting with your ideal client via content or the group engagement, we have begun the process of planting the seeds of authentic relationships and warm, qualified prospective clients, right? So you probably know that there's something more to the client attraction process. Though that there has been something beyond commenting on your ideal client's posts and regularly posting content. And you are correct. There is something more beyond just commenting on the posts, posting the content, having the group engagement, all those things. I know that you have already started that. So you have already planting those seeds of authentic connections, sharing your value, building the relationship with your warm and qualified prospects, right? But beyond that, there is something more. So if you see the client magnetizer system that we have seen in the previous modules, so if you see this, in leveraging your profiles and group through the content and engaging with them, you have begun to feed at the very top of the funnel. So if you see this part, the first part, this is your top of the funnel, right? So in this client magnetizer system we have talked about earlier, you remember that there are several steps between getting in front of your ideal clients and making a sale, right? There are 4 more steps. Okay, but what after the top of the funnel? This is the step. Step number 2, step number 3. This is the step in which you take those seeds you have planted through the content, through commenting, and start to grow them into more substantial relationships with your ideal clients. That is how to turn your group engagement, your content engagement into those relationships. Especially, we are going to talk about how to start a one-on-one conversations, build that initial rapport, and maybe start to uncover some of their pain points, their struggles. So as we are focusing the client attraction process on social media, the primary way to these is going to be the direct message. That is the DM or the messenger feature on Instagram or Facebook, as simple as that, right? So the main focus is how to effectively start the DM conversations in a way that builds rapport and results in the booked strategy session, booked sales call. Okay, but before answering that, I want to discuss about a belief that is infecting many entrepreneurs and coaches everywhere. That is, I regularly hear claims from well-known coaches, entrepreneurs, such as everything online just feels inauthentic. It just feels so salesy. Everything just feels so sleazy and salesy, right? And that's fair to say these things because there is a lot of bullshit happening online and it gives the social selling a bad rep, right? I hear it from most of my prospects, most of my clients, that they feel like it's impossible to attract clients online without sacrificing their authenticity. For example, my former client, Chris, he used to say that I just don't know how to get clients on Facebook without being spammy. Because he have been he have been tried about cold DMs, cold emailing, all those things, spamming the groups, all those things. So I asked him, have you ever been to an in-person networking event? Then he told me, yes, I have been. Before the pandemic, before the COVID, I used to go to the stuff like that every week, and I got so many clients from it. Then I said, that makes perfect sense. You connect really well with the people in the networking events, and when you connect with those people, they want to work with you, right? He said that, yes, the networking event was perfectly working for me, but this online stuff is just not working for me. I can't do it. So I gently explained him that think about this way. So when you go to a networking event, you interact in a certain way, and the way you interact is what draws people to you, right? The same is true of showing up online to attract clients. It's the same skill set, only translated for the online space virtually. The core principles stays the same, and the only thing that changes is the venue those interactions takes place. Instead of hotel conference room, it's Facebook. He looked at me for a moment, completely silent, and he said, oh man, I'd never thought about it that way. I said, great. So let's talk about how to make that happen. So it's possible to attract clients without losing your authenticity, without being spammy, without being sales. And here's how we do it using the high impact appointment setting framework. So to talk about, we are talking about the first phase of the high impact appointment setting framework. That is the 4 steps of DM mastery, connecting and building those relationships. And there are 4 steps to having an effective DM conversations with an ideal client. These are mostly the same across all the platforms, whether it may be Facebook or Instagram or any other platform. But I call it the 4 steps of DM mastery for connecting and building a relationship with prospects. Just connecting and building relationship. The initial conversations that happen into the DM section. This is what I call the 4 steps of DM mastery. Okay. So here it is. If you see this diagram, as we have shown in the previous model, if you can see here, this is the initial diagram. So it has 4 steps. First is the initial engagement and the conversations that you have or that happens inside the content, in the comment sections, all those things. Then this is the 4 steps of a DM mastery that we are going to talk about now. Then the triage way, and then the messenger way. If you see the triage way, it is just to book a call or see if the people is interested, if the people or the client or the prospect is a perfect fit or not. Okay. So if you see at the left of side, you have to attempt for the triage call or the strategy call. It's just making an attempt or making an offer to your ideal clients, right? And the next part is the messenger DM way. Now this messenger and DM way is all about in the DM sections. Okay. You are just having conversations with them, chatting with them in the DM section and directly booking the strategy session. So there is no triage call involved. But on the left side, the triage way, you are booking the triage call first, or if the client is a perfect fit and you are built the connection enough, then you can book the strategy call directly. We are going to see both of the ways. Okay. This is just a kind of a traditional way, but we are giving a tweak to it. And this is the best way, the triage way that I have talked into the last lesson as well. So we'll look after it in a deeper way because I have mentioned it here, step-by-step framework. So this is the 4-step DM mastery, then the 2 steps of triage way, then the 3 steps of messenger or DM framework that we are going to see. Everything is attached into this module. So I'm just going to explain you, giving you examples, giving you the templates, all of the things, explaining you into the slides. But at the end of this module, I'm going to give you the exact script that I'm going to show you inside the slides and the examples, the templates, all of the things I'm going to give you. Also, I'll give you a personalized DM script specifically for your niche, your offer that will be beneficial for you. At the end of this module, when you complete watching this module, we complete accessing all the resources, then you can book a call and we will jump on to creating your personalized DM script. For now, you just have to understand these 3 steps, the 4-step DM mastery, the triage way, and the messenger DM way. So there is a triage script as well, and there is a messenger DM script as well. We are going to see both the ways to book a call with your ideal clients so that you can identify which way works for you the best, which way aligns in a way that you do business. Okay, so let's start. So this is the same diagram that we have explained here. So if you can see here, these are the 4 steps of DM mastery. These are the 4 main steps of having effective DM conversations with your ideal client. Okay. Number 1, after engaging with an ideal client on the content on the comment section, just send them a friend request. Then second one is send an introductory message once they accept your friend request. Third, then continue the conversations and build rapport in the DMs. And fourth, engage with them regularly and keep the conversations going. If you do these 4 things properly and authentically, you will be primed and ready to book some strategy sessions, book some sales calls. So we are going to jump into these 4 steps of DM mastery one by one. So let's deep dive into it. Okay, so the first step is sending them a friend request. Okay, once you leverage the groups and the initial engagement has happened, it's time to go ahead and send them a friend request. As simple as that. To specify the initial engagement, there could be many things, as you can see. They replied to a comment you made on someone post. They commented on your post. they reacted or liked on your post, they reacted, commented, or replied to any one of your stories that you post, any type of interaction, engagement they made or you have made, right? So whenever they interact with you in any form, comment, like, react, emoji, comments, value comments, or you commented on their profile, they replied to it, that's your signal to send them a friend request. As simple as that. So most importantly, do not message them directly before sending them the friend request. Do not message them. Do not DM them before sending the friend request. Now, there are two reasons we want to send them a request before messaging them directly. Why? First one is when they accept your friend requests, it's actually the part of conversations. You don't have to be spammy and start the conversation before sending them a friend request. When they accept your friend request, it's actually a part of the conversations. It's like them nodding their head and saying, yes, you are someone I want to be connected with. If you skip this step and send them a message without first sending the request, you will set up the conversations to be one-sided. It sends the signal that you don't necessarily care if they want to be connected with you, right? You are going to go ahead and message them anyway. What that means is that you are not going to be as well received if you get a response at all. Okay, so when you send someone a Facebook DM on Instagram DM before you make friendship with them, it's get hidden in their message request folder, in the spam folder. And it reduces the chances that they are going to see your message at all, right? So send them the friend request first. When they accept, then start the conversation, then send them the DM. Second one is it prompts your ideal client to click through and look at your profile. The previous engagement and your compelling profile, the bio, the nitty-gritty details like profile photo, all those things dictate whether your friend request will be accepted or not. Your outgoing friend request almost always results in profile views. As I said, all the things that you do on your social media platform leads back to your social media profile. That is why we spend more time on optimizing it, right? If their profile is public, you can increase the chances of getting them to accept your request by taking a look at their profile and commenting on their recent post. These comments might be anything, not necessarily that it has to be niche related. Okay, so when you take that extra step and comment on something on their profile, you create a touch point where the ideal client sees your name in another place, right? So as you know, those positive touch points build trust and likability. Okay, do not send friend requests to the random people with whom you have no previous engagement or interaction on social media profile. Sending out a request like this will result in lower acceptance rate and they will be less open to start the conversations with you. So step number one, remember, is so simple. Just send them the friend request to those who had an interaction, had an engagement with you. Moving on to the step number two, that is sending an introductory message. Now, people call it an icebreaker. An introduction message is an icebreaker. Now, the goal of this step is simple: to start a DM conversations with an ideal client. Okay, once they accept your friend request, it's time to start the conversations. The best way to think of this step is not as starting a conversation, but continuing the conversations that you have already begun. If you have already started implementing the client attraction process, you have already started a conversations with them in the comments, in the group posts, comments on one of your posts, comments on one of their posts. No matter what that engagement was, it was about something. Because you have been engaging on that deeper level. That engagement was the first part of your conversation. That engagement may be about a particular topic or issue related to that content. That's your entry point of continuing conversations in the DMs. Remember this. So whenever writing that introductory message feels daunting, take a look back at whatever previous engagement occurred and ground your introductory message. Create your introductory message in that engagement. Because sending a simple DM is perhaps one of the easiest steps of the client attraction process. But most of the people struggle because they overthink. So don't overthink, just do it. Just send your introductory message. That's where all the game starts. Most of the people struggle because they try to talk like someone they are not. because they follow a certain script that doesn't work for every niche. They try to sound more professional or more casual. That is why these people struggle. It actually feels unnatural to speak in a certain way via DMs. And chances are that it feels unnatural on the other end as well, right? So now the thing is, what should your introductory message look like? Now there are various ways to craft your introductory message, and it will change over time as you find what works best for you. All right. So there is a super simple formula for crafting your introductory message. That is a statement plus question. That is the simple formula. A statement plus a following question. Number one, make a statement. Open up with a sentence that starts from the conversations that happened in the previous engagement and then ask a follow-up question. Now, as you can see, example of the statement that could be related back to a previous engagement, like and say, hey, Mark, loved your post about X. I have been started doing Y lately and it's really helped me to Z. Now, X, Y, Z are related to the content, related to the niche, related to the post that if you had an previous engagement about, right? So you may feel it. This is an example. This is a template, right? The most important thing is to understand the strategy behind it. To begin by connecting your initial message directly to an engagement that has previously occurred. Okay. And the second part of the formula then is the question. By asking a question, you will elicit a higher quality response from your ideal client. And when you get that higher quality, more engaged response, you have more to work with to continue the conversations beyond there. Your question should connect to the statement that you have made. And remember that we are not waiting to a reply to that statement before sending the question. Okay? So these statement and the question should be sent back to back. So as the statements that we looked at above, the question should be like this. How did you discover X? How did you get that idea of your post? So send that statement and the question back to back. So you can say, hey, Neem, love your post about appointment setting. I have started doing DMing people lately and it's really helped me to grow my business. How did you discover this appointment setting? Okay, or you can say, hey, Neem, hey, love your focus on X niche. Your post on Y was so great. How did you get that idea of your post? So when you start a conversation relevant to the engagement that has already occurred in the comment section, the chances of them replying is higher. And when you ask the follow-up questions, how did you discover X? How did you get that idea of your post? Then they feel authentic. Then they reply to that question immediately. You're not asking for booking a sales call directly immediately, or this doesn't sound salesy. Or you're not asking how your day is going, how are you doing, what are you doing, where are you from? People don't respond to these type of questions. They immediately sense that the sales pitch is coming. So you first have to acknowledgement, appreciate about their content, the initial conversation that has happened in the comments, and then ask a follow-up question relevant to that statement. This is how you get more and more replies, right? So let's see some examples of this introductory message. As you can see, as we have seen, hey, Neem, I really appreciate your insight about X, especially how you mentioned why. I never thought about it that way before. Do you do X on a regular basis? Or the second one, hey, I just wanted to introduce myself since we chatted briefly in the comments in the X group. So this is where you have having conversations in a particular or an external Facebook group, then you are introducing them in the DMs. So these kind of templates, these are the templates that you can use. Again, these templates I have attached in a document that I'm going to share with you in the end of this module. But these are some templates. But we will see the real life examples, introductory message that I have sent to few clients or my clients have sent to someone. So you can say, hey, Jennifer, I really loved your post about intuitive eating, especially how you mentioned that emotional eating is mostly just a default response that our bodies have. That's the matter of rewiring that response. How did you come to learn about that? Nate, love your focus on working with creative entrepreneurs. Your post on making creative space in your schedule was spot on with my past experience as well. How did you find that niche? Hey, Jessica, it's great connecting in the LGBT business owner group. Were you able to get your questions about Kajabi answered? I saw that a lot of people replied, and I know that 100 different options can be overwhelming. So I wanted to make sure you actually got your question answered. These kind of questions that you can ask. Now, if you see all these statements plus questions, you'll never feel like you're being spammy. You're asking them something relevant to what they're posting, relevant to what they are on social media, relevant to their niche, right? So as you can see by reading these statements, that you have to achieve the two most important goals, which are continue the conversations from the previous engagement that has happened in the comment sections, in the groups, in the social media platform. And second one is to open the conversations up for a further back and forth. You have to start open the conversations using the follow-up questions. That's it. And how to execute this step effectively when your ideal clients' posts and engagement aren't directly related to your niche. That is the biggest question most of my clients have. If you are starting to experience this, there are two things to look at. Number one is make sure that you are in the right Facebook groups. If you are not in a group where people are actively talking about the issues that are faced in your niche, it's a signal that you may be prospecting in the wrong place. Just move to the other group. The second is whatever, get the conversation started if it's your ideal client. Now, it might feel like a waste of time to engage with an ideal client in a conversations about their grandma's apple pie recipe. But if that's your ideal client, that's still a massive win. But make sure you will shift that conversations eventually relatable to your niche. So if you're struggling to find an entry point for an introductory message, take the pressure off. You don't have to start conversations only about your niche. Instead, focus on just getting a conversation started and then shift it relevant to your niche. As simple as that. Yeah, so you're pretty clear with the first two steps. Send a friend request, send an introductory message with a statement and a follow-up question as shown in this step, right? Moving on to the third step, that is building a rapport in the DMs. Now, once you send an introductory message and get the initial response, your goal is to build rapport. Your goal is to create a friendly relationship with your ideal client in the DMs. You're not trying to book a call or pitch your offer at this point, but rather just to get the conversations going, right? So there are few key principles that I wanted to tell you here. First one is people love to talk about themselves, right? People love to talk about themselves. Remember this. Second, and people will only open up and reveal their true selves if they have some amount of trust in you, right? Now that level of trust varies from person to person, but it means that if you want to get your ideal clients to open up with you, they have to like you and trust you, right? And the best way to build trust and to get others to be vulnerable is to be vulnerable yourself. Try to share the snippets of your own life. Example, if someone is opening up with their struggles, their fears, their problems, you can say that, yes, I have struggled with the same thing, the same issue in the past as well, right? So ask great questions to build that initial rapport and trust. Remember that one of our goal here is to get the friendly conversations going. And when they have some amount of trust in the person they are speaking with, people love to talk about themselves, isn't it? And asking the right questions can get that ball rolling. Asking questions as a way to create that back and forth conversations is an effective strategy to build trust. As simple as that. So remember these things. People love to talk about themselves. They need to have some amount of trust in you. Be vulnerable and ask some great questions to build that initial rapport and trust. That's what we are going to see. And there are two common pitfalls that I want you to avoid at any cost. Turning your conversations into an interrogation. Your ideal clients will start to disappear if they start to feel like they are in an interrogation room, right? And the best way to avoid that is to actually respond to their answers rather than just barrel ahead to the next question. You have to acknowledge them, appreciate them before asking the next question. You can say simple, Yeah, I had a similar experience. Yes, I agree with you. Or, yeah, I've never heard of something like that. Oh, that's also happening. This can go a long way in terms of making the conversations more authentic, right? You probably do this in your daily conversations with your friends, your colleagues, your neighbors, anyways. So do it here as well. Second, stop giving unwanted advice. It's important to understand that value and advice are two different things. For example, a really effective way to provide value rather than giving advice is the form of you should do X, is to frame it as a question. So you should do X. When you say you should do something, it's a form of giving advice. Try to frame it as giving a value instead. Okay. So rather than saying you should do X, you can say, one of my friends tried X and I really helped him to do Y. Is that something you thought about? You can see the first one that is in red section on the screen. It is a bit of arrogant. And in the green section, what I just said, one of my friends tried X and it really helped him do Y. Is that something you thought about? It is a more conversational approach that creates value in a friendly manner, right? So in this stage of the DM conversations, the best questions are those that flow naturally with the conversation, right? So the best question should help highlight your ideal client's challenges and pain points. These questions are directly related to your niche and more specifically, directly related to the issue that you help your ideal clients overcome. And these questions will be an effective way to begin transitioning the conversations into the context of your niche if it has drifted to another topic. Do not ask leading questions just to get a specific response. That is one of the salesy tactics. Instead, these questions should be open-ended that allow a bit of interpretation. As simple as that. So let's see a few examples of these questions, what you can say. So for example, here are some questions a wellness coach might ask. What are you doing to take care of your mind and body? How your energy levels been lately? What are you doing to relax? How is your work affecting your health? What daily mindfulness practices are doing? Now, as you can see, we are not asking these questions one by one. Then it will fill interrogation. You have to ask just one or two questions. That is the initial questions. When you just send them an introductory message with a follow-up question, then they reply you. Then you can start building the rapport using any one of these questions, any one or two of these questions. Don't ask one by one questions, one after the other, right? As you can see, we are not digging into more in-depth questions like what you have tried before or is living a healthier lifestyle a priority for you right now. Instead, we are keeping it light and friendly. We are also gathering some information on their current situations by asking these questions, right? So no matter how many questions you ask, but at least one or two questions you should ask to build a rapport. Your primary goal here is to simply get that back and forth engaged conversation going, not focusing on booking a call or pitching your offer, just a conversation, right? Then the last step is engage and keep the conversation going. Now, DM conversations, as you know, are different from the most of the type of conversations. Where a phone call or an in-person conversations or a Zoom call has a clearer beginning, like hello, and at the end, goodbye. But a DM conversation start with hello and might be followed with a short back and forth conversations and then usually ends when a person doesn't reply to you, right? It's rude on the phone and in person. And whether you think it's rude for that to occur in a DM conversations, it happens a lot. People will leave the conversations, they don't reply you, they ignore you or they ghost you. It's important to know that when the other person does not respond, it doesn't mean that the conversation is over. Unlike you who is using DM as a prospecting tool, your ideal clients are not sitting down specifically to have a DM conversations with you. Your DM conversations will naturally follow. And rather than letting that be the end of the conversation, your goal at this point is to stay engaged with them and continue the conversations. So there are two ways to do this: engaging with them and directly messaging them, right? So the first is fairly simple: engage on their profile from time to time. I recommend maintain a list of your ideal clients with whom you want to stay connected and make a habit of commenting on one of their posts of for at least once a week. This can be a simple, love this, gorgeous photo, amazing post, congratulations, appreciate them, engage with them. The idea is just to keep yourself at the top of their mind, as simple as that. And the second one is to follow up directly in their DMs. Obviously, you want to avoid messaging them every day and harass them, but a simple check-in can be really effective. For example, you can say, Happy Friday, how's your week going? And this is a great way to reignite a dead conversation. Okay, so doing those two things is an effective way to continue building those relationships with your ideal clients. And our next step is to turn those conversations into booked strategy sessions. Right? So all of these 4 steps we have covered in this lesson, the 4-step DM mastery. I'm just giving you the summary. First, send friend request. Send friend request to the engagers, whether that on your post, stories, comments, etc. Do not message them directly before sending them the friend request. Second is send an introductory message. Start the conversation. Continue the conversations that you have already begun in the interactions that happened before. Simple formula, statements plus questions. Don't overthink here. Also, for this, I have attached a list of introductory message in a Google Sheet at the end of this module. So grab that and get going. Third, build a rapport in the DMs. Create a friendly atmosphere. Ask great questions. Don't give unwanted advice. Just give or frame it as a value. Do not make it an interrogation. Simply try to get them back and forth, conversation going. Fourth and last one, engage and keep the conversation going. Your conversations will fall off, but do not make it at the end of the conversation. Engage on their profile time to time and follow up with them in a friendly manner. So that all is seen in this step of appointment setting framework, the high impact appointment setting framework. I refer the examples for some introductory message to start the conversations with your ideal clients in various scenarios. And these document is attached at the end of this video. All this document, all the steps that I'm going to show you inside this module of each lesson, everything is attached in a Google Sheet or a Google document or a Notion document. Okay, make a copy of that and save it into your Drive or bookmark it into your browser and start sending those messaging with your prospect. Remember, sound authentic. Don't try to be someone that you are not. Don't follow a pre-written script. Be creative, create your own words, create your own thoughts. Remember, you are having conversations like you are having with your neighbor, your friends, your siblings, your cousins, your mother, your father, everyone. The same conversations you are doing, but it's actually virtual. You are having those conversations online. Keep that mindset. You are having conversations as if a new neighbor has come to visit you. Make that conversation like this. Invite your neighbor to your profile. Start having conversation. Just close your eyes and imagine how would you do a conversations with a new neighbor at the first time you met him. That's the exact situation here. You are inviting a neighbor you have interacted with on the comment section and just starting a conversation with them in the DMs. Send that introductory message, build that rapport, and engage and keep the conversation going. And what after that, we are going to see in the next lesson. I'll see you there.